Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited to share this art journal page with you. It's using some of the brand new Dina Wakley products. And I'm starting out my page with a Finnabair stencil and some Ranger texture paste, and I'm concentrating the texture paste in like the middle of my page. And once that's completely dry, I'm going to go in with some Lindy Stamp Gang Magicals. The first one is Guten Tag Teal. Oh, these are the magical shakers. So I'm just going to add the Guten Tag Teal and then the Polka Purple, concentrating them in the center of my page as well. And then spraying some water to activate the color. And I'm just going to dry this first layer before I go in with some Baravian Blue, because I felt like it needed a little bit of a darker color in there, and then I'm also going to add some more of the purple. Purple isn't generally a color I use that often, but I really enjoy it on this page, so I think I'll have to use it more often. So now I'm going to stamp out some text and scribbles. This is a stamp set from Dina Wakley called Text and Scribbles, and I'm going to stamp out some of the circles first. And I don't end up using the circles, but I usually cut out parts that like don't make it to the page. But for this video, I thought I'd show you like my entire process and how a lot of things don't make it, and it takes me, like on a video it seems like I craft very quickly and I know exactly what I'm going to do next, but in reality, due to the magic of editing, in reality it really takes me a long time, and I do a lot of, auditioning of things, and then things don't make it on the page, and that's just the way I craft. So this is real, so I thought I'd show you my whole entire process. So now I'm going to stamp this like paint splotch thing that has like writing through it, and this does end up making it onto the final page. And I'm stamping it on some dictionary paper because I think it's a nicer look. The color of the paper with the text in it is a nicer look sometimes than just regular plain white cardstock. It adds a little something. So I'm going to cut out this little paint splotch thing, and I'm not being real exact because the nature of the stamp, it doesn't really matter that you cut it out perfectly. And then, so this is the auditioning like I was talking about. It takes me a while to decide what I'm going to do on top of a page, so I thought I was going to add these circles, and now that I'm looking at it, this would have worked, but I just wasn't feeling it at the time, so you can see me hesitate a little bit, and I'm not sure where I'm going to go from here. I'm thinking about adding some of that acetate. And then I thought, let's get rid of the circles and just try these paint splotches. And it's just going back and forth until I'm happy with the way it looks. This acetate is called Clearly Bold, and it's from We Are Memory Keepers. And I love it so much. My Michaels had it on clearance, so I kind of figured they were going to like phase it out. So I bought every sheet they had. Now, mind you, it wasn't like a ton of sheets. It was like 5 of them, but still, I love this stuff so much. So I'm going to put the focal embellishment cluster to the side for now and work more on the background. This is a stamp called Mesh Texture from Viva Las Vegas Stamps. So now I'm going to stamp some more. I'm going to stamp some of the flowers from the Scribbly Bird Cousin stamp set, one of the new stamp sets from Dina Wakley, and I'm stamping my stamp on Bristol Smooth cardstock with black StazOn ink. And I have, let's see, Dina Wakley Media acrylic paint in fuchsia, magenta, blackberry violet, and blushing. And I'm just going to add a ton of water. The reason I stamped on Bristol cardstock is because it takes a lot of water really well. You can watercolor on it really nicely. And sometimes when I use watercolor paper, the watercolor paper I have is really textured, so the stamp doesn't stamp that perfectly, so stamping on this smooth Bristol cardstock, you get a really good image, but you also can get that good blending of the watercolors, or in this case, the acrylic with the water. And I know they have smooth watercolor paper. I think it's the hot press that's smooth, and the cold press is a little bumpy and textured. Don't quote me on that though, I'm not sure. So I'm just gonna color in these stamps real scribbly-ish. And that's what I like about these stamps, is that they're scribbly to begin with, so you can color them in like not perfectly and it doesn't look bad, like it looks nice. And I'm gonna add some more colors. I have let's see, cheddar and lime, and the cheddar I just used in the center of my flowers, and the lime of course I'm gonna use on the leaves, and then I'm gonna darken it up with some Dina Wakley Media acrylic in evergreen. And I'm not being precise at all, I'm just very quickly coloring that in. I'm going to darken up my flowers a little bit. I usually like to start with the lightest color first and then work to the darkest color. Oh, and then I decided to add some of that polka purple from the magical shakers like I used on the background. I thought that if I added a little touch of that, it would kind of allow the stamp to look more like it matches with the background. So then these strips of flowers, I'm coloring them completely with the polka purple. And I'm just starting with a light layer and then darkening it up with a little more of the color. So then I also left this part in. I wanted to show you that I don't waste paint. So this is a handmade junk journal that Dee Dee Catron made for me. And I just, whatever paint is left, I flip open to a page and then I just slap it on there. Eventually these will get finished, but it's a nice way to use up all your paint and not waste anything. And then also you have pages already started if you don't feel like starting from scratch with a blank page. And some of these pages are my favorite pages because they're just so intuitive and there's really no thought to it. So back to my art journal page. I'm gonna mess with the configuration of my stuff, and it's funny because the very first way I laid the stuff out that you saw there is the way that I end up doing it. So I really didn't need to do all this back and forth and what looks good here, because I ended up going with the first way that I had it laid out. But it's just the way I craft. So I got rid of the paint splotch stamp, but I don't know, there's something about, you can't really see it that much, but there's something about that dark stamp behind the flowers that I really like. So I'm putting some splatters on my page with India ink, and I love using the India ink for splatters because it's super dark, and even when you add water, a little bit of water, and you don't need to add water because it's fluid to begin with, but I like to add a little bit of water. But even when you do add water, it still stays super dark. I love that stuff. And then I'm going to outline my bird with a little bit of black StazOn ink so his edges aren't so stark white. And then I'm just going to start gluing down my stuff. I'm using Aleene's Tacky Glue, the clear. And it's not my favorite, but it's cheap and it's what I have. So to adhere this acetate, I'm just going to apply the glue behind the white parts of the paper so that you won't be able to see the glue when I put it down. I love this newest release from Dina Wakley. I love all the scribbly, painty stamps. This stamp set, the text and scribbles that this paint splotch thing comes from. Oh, I just love it so much. And these scribbly bird cousins. I love the scribbly birds. So then I'm stamping the Tweet Chirp sentiment that comes from the original Scribbly Bird stamp set that came out, I think her first release, maybe? Don't quote me on that, but it came out a while ago. So I'm just gonna use some of that black StazOn to apply to the edges of my sentiment and then glue that down there. And then I thought the bird looked like he was like getting a little lost there in the background, so I decided to pop him up on some fun foam. And this is blue fun foam because they didn't have any white. I like to use white, but fun foam is a lot cheaper than foam adhesive, so I just buy the sheets of the fun foam and then cut it out, and I mean, you really can't tell the difference. So then it popped him up nicely. So that's my page. Thank you so much for watching. I suggest you check out the new Dina Wakley release because it is fan-freaking-tastic. So thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.